Hey everybody, welcome back to the Puzzle Creative YouTube channel for escape room owners. And today we are going to be doing a little Fireside Forum continued to answer a lot of the questions that we didn't get to during the last session of our conference. At the conference we did Fireside Forum where we were on stage and took a lot of live question and answer. And so we're going to pop through some of these and we'll do our best to provide context for some of the questions. But if you don't get it, then maybe just you should have been there.
Should have been
there. But anyway,
sure.
All right, you can catch them next year.
Yeah.
Here we go. So the first question we did not have time to answer was, Stephen mentioned $10 a square foot, including cams for rent. It doesn't seem like this is a fair projection for the average American market. Thoughts? Okay, for context, this was a figure that I threw out when I was talking about looking for headquarters space, not for an escape room store, but for offsite headquarters space. Mm-hmm. And I do think that this is fair even with the average American market, but this is going to be not for retail commercial lease space, but for flex space. So this is going to be something more along the lines of like a warehouse. So if you look in the right area of your town or city, you probably will be able to find something that is about that price range. So that's what I say about that one.
Remember, we recommend negotiating.
Absolutely, negotiate everything.
Yes.
Okay, here's the second one. Has there ever been a topic that Mallory or Keith and Stephen haven't agreed on, and how did you solve the challenge?
Yeah. The first answer.
Yes.
Yes. Often.
Yeah.
Initially. We don't always agree right off the bat because we all see things from very different perspectives, which is a strength that we have at the end of the day. Man, how do we resolve it?
Lots of
swearing.
Yeah.
Bribery.
No, just lots of conversation. You get through, like she's saying, we don't see things from the same perspective all the time. So what's your perspective? What's your perspective? What's my perspective, right? And just having that dialogue, hashing it out to where you get to a point where like, okay, now I see how you're looking at this from maybe a customer's perspective. I see how you're looking at this from a business perspective, right? And you combine all of those things so you can get to a point where like, okay, how do we move forward from here?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think one thing that the way I think about this is, if there's anything like major, especially anything that's financial or strategic in nature, we all make sure we're in agreement. We really don't do anything unless we're all 100% on board with it.
For sure.
And if it's something that is not quite as mission critical, like we care about it, have an opinion, but it's not the end of the world, then a lot of times we'll just make sure that have like a majority of us agree on it. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much, I think, the lens I view it through.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between not agreeing on, hey, what color should we paint this wall inside of a room versus what's the next theme of the escape room that we're going to open, right? Or the next creative opportunity that we'll pursue.
Yeah, and I think the critical thing that makes that work is we have to keep the right level of what level of importance is this decision? Is this a hill I should be willing to die on? Yeah. And something that I have to get better at, of course.
So for additional context too, time sensitivity matters. And so if we're on Slack and it's like, do we give a refund to this customer, which we don't do a lot of refunds, I think we make sure to communicate in a place where we all can weigh in on things. And even if it's later we didn't agree on something, we know that time is of the essence. And so we default to each other's strong suits. So like if like Keith, that's his area with marketing and operations. And so if time's of the essence and Keith weighs in, he's like, this is what I want to do. We have to be willing to be like, okay, let's do it, and kind of compromise on some of those things because that is what he knows. That's his wheelhouse, right? And so we do default to that, especially if we've said our piece and it's like, yeah, it's not a big, huge decision, but it has to be quick. We each have our strong suits of where we like default to each other on, I would say.
Yep, I agree. Okay, next question. Next question is, what do you think about portable/mobile escape rooms? Mm-hmm. Have you considered doing it and why?
So many times.
Yeah, I think they're always surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
Is the best way I can describe it. Like every time I played one, I've left being like, that was more fun than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, at Trans World 5-6 years ago, you remember this one? We played one.
Yes.
There was one random stranger in there with us, and it was a ton of fun. And he, I think, got a little overwhelmed. I was excited, like he did something. Goes, awesome job, man! And he like was, but that was a blast. So they're a lot of fun. I think from a business perspective, it's tough. We've had a tough time making the logistics work, especially when you get into things like opportunity cost. But I do think they're fun. There's a place for them for sure.
Yeah, Stephen talks a lot about business models, and for us, the opportunities when they would present themselves, we couldn't make the numbers work. But I think it's because we also, alongside of that, had other opportunities for brick and mortar to keep expanding, keep building more escape rooms. And so if you kind of hold the two up, like which direction should we go, the brick and mortar always won for us. But we've definitely tried, and we've done the pop-up mission with the I and the O being 10-minute experiences at festivals and fairs, and we're able to do that. I can't remember actually how much we charge. We haven't done them in a minute. But it's more,
free, right?
yeah. Oh, that's true. A lot of times they were for free, just as a marketing opportunity, and that was a lot of fun. We have 3 of those that are 10-minute experiences that we can set up in tents and things. But
Yeah. So I would agree with what these guys are saying, that I think that the portable or especially mobile escape rooms are fun, but they're really hard to monetize. Maybe it's because people haven't taken them, the concept large enough. Maybe you need like a whole, like a food truck park.
Ooh, like a fleet.
Yeah.
And like have a fleet of them. I think that there's a critical mass problem maybe that you don't attract enough people on a consistent basis to like get the sales numbers that you need, or to warrant you like staying out at the mobile escape room for 8 hours a day. So I think that they're really hard to monetize right now. I haven't seen someone do it in a way that would attract me to want to do it.
Not that it doesn't exist out there.
Right.
If you have one
Yeah.
and you're crushing it, don't hear that and think we're erasing you. We just haven't heard about you.
Right.
And we'd love to come play.
Yes.
Drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Okay, here's the next question. How would you advise a small company in a seasonal tourist area with few employees on splitting up responsibilities and roles to grow?
Yeah, that can be tricky.
So the way I'm hearing it is they have just a few staff members and they're looking for ways to grow when they maybe have downtime.
So I will say it
Yeah.
sounds decently similar, maybe not like exactly, but decently similar to our location in Florence.
Yeah.
Right. And we make that work pretty well.
Yeah. In our location in Florence, they're actually the best at moving people forward in training. So we do a lot. We're always open. So we don't do the on-call model first, and we think that just is very advantageous for us. But we would highly recommend doing that. And then when you have the downtime, so you've always got at least one staff member there, sometimes 2. You're moving people forward. You're assigning them to certain things. Like one person could do social, and it could be even for the same hourly rate. It could just be added responsibility of why you're there. Like they get 4 hours a week to do social. Then you have a manager who's also there as your one person who is creating your scheduling for you. We do a ton of downtime cleaning, making backups, doing maintenance, doing painting maintenance, scenic design. So we're kind of constantly in that downtime making sure that we're moving the business forward or people forward. That's kind of what we say. You're moving the business forward or people forward, and that's like even doing like team building projects with each other, but training, a whole lot of training. So you're constantly moving people up, and you have the time to do that. So you could create the maintenance specialist role. You could create the social media specialist role. Marketing communication specialist is what we have. And that's really great. And it doesn't have to be their full-time job or even derail them from being a game master or a room host or a shift lead kind of position. It can just be an add-on that they get, like, oh, you're going to get 10 hours a week to do this, and they can put it on their resume. It helps them move forward in responsibilities and in the company. So that's how we do it in Florence. That's how we do it here. Even on a larger scale, we're constantly kind of adding on levels of responsibility, teaching skills, and seeing what sticks. Sometimes you may give someone that and they're like, oh, I thought that was going to be fun, but I'm really more interested in maintenance and not social. And so it's good to try things. Just don't promote until you know the skill set is there. Because once you promote, it's really hard to come back. We like to do kind of trial periods or working interviews is what we call them, to see if those skill sets are there. So you can definitely do it. It can be done.
For sure.
Question. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna zoom out a little bit on that one too and say if you're in a place that's really like an extreme version of seasonality, like you're in like a coastal city or coastal town that's all tourists and it only is populated really in the summertime.
Yeah.
I would probably do 2 things. One, as fast as possible, try to diversify, get another location that is not that's a lot more steady and maybe even has opposite seasonality if you can.
Yeah.
It's just going to be really hard to thrive and grow if you're only see a lot of customer demand a few months of the year. That's 1. 2 is, to state the obvious, use all the months that are not really heavy to just build new stuff. Like make sure you're allocating your activities around when customer demand is and is not. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and even if you're tourists, you still got locals somewhere. And so trying really hard to become a tradition for field trips, for in-service, for corporate groups. I mean, even in tourist towns, you've got a local community, albeit maybe small, that you could really try to make sure that you're a strong part of that community and that they're coming to you still even in those off-season months.
Yep. So the next question we have is, if you had one chance to cut costs and raise profits during a difficult season, what would you do and why? And I will point out, we have a great video that's already out on our channel that covers this in detail, and it's about what to do when times get difficult. You should go check that out. We'll link it right here. I don't know. We'll link it somewhere. All right, next question. Are there any plans to franchise your Geno games and setup?
Ooh.
Not at this time, but it's not a hard no.
Yeah.
How about that? Is that fine?
We just opened that,
Yeah.
and it's going really well, and we are super excited that people love it. But we're still developing the roadmap for that entire business unit, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
There you go. Next question. When designing a room and wanting to achieve a high level of immersion, what is your break point in cost? Has cost prevented immersion? How do you overcome that?
It's a fine question.
It's a fine question.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
I think you have a formula that you've used in the talk before.
Oh,
Yeah.
If you want to get that.
So at the conference, one of the workshops that I do is on business tools to help you make decisions. And one of them is a room budget analysis tool that helps you figure out, based on the size city you're in and a few other factors, what is the right budget amount. I think that's a good tool, a good baseline to get a number and go like, is this a ridiculous amount of money on the low end or the high end to pay for a room? And that's good. But I will say that I was actually just on a phone call this morning where I said to someone that the way we've always done this is we let the idea lead. So like if we're going to do a dinosaur themed room, a dinosaur themed room, a customer is always going to expect to have what? Animatronic T-Rex. So if you have to have an animatronic T-Rex, well then the room is going to be naturally more expensive than if you do something that is a lot lower sort of thematic immersion level. And so we always start there, just letting the idea lead. And of course we get to the point sometimes with a project and we go like, okay, we got to put the brakes on. We've spent more than we probably should have on this. But for the most part, that's the way that we do it. Now I will say we do our best with value engineering to try to squeeze the most out of every dollar. So for us, the short answer is let the idea lead, but also you probably should have some sense of what is reasonable to get paid back over a period of time based on the amount of customer demand you're going to see over like a 3 to 5 year period for the game.
Yeah, if there's a specific thing that you're wanting to do or wanting to implement, and you get to that point where like, I think this is too much money, right? Or I can't fully justify it, then that's where we're going to have the conversation of, okay, how can we make this work within the budget that we have? And that's when we talk about value engineering, when that really comes into play, because, you know, there are certain things, like he's talking about in the dinosaur themed room, you sort of have to have these things, right? If you feel like you are going to have to sacrifice that, then you either have to make a difficult decision or maybe even go back to the drawing board and pick a different theme.
Yeah, maybe good to go back and get a different theme. I agree.
In different seasons, we've tried really hard to be smart about, okay, knowing the budget that we have, knowing the space that we have, and then picking a theme that we can hit both really, really well. Yeah. A good example of that is we didn't have a whole lot of extra money to spend on our one night in the 90s. We had this opportunity come up where the current landlord was like, hey, do you want the space across the hall? To which our answer will always and forever be yes. And so we weren't really in like the natural flow of when we like to build rooms. So we had a smaller budget and we were like, what can we do with this space, with this ceiling height, and with this amount of money that we have that we feel like we can still nail? And 90s came up and we were really inspired with all the things and we hit it. We were able to hit that budget. So you've got to be kind of smart about all of those decisions. And like he's saying, if you can't do it well with the budget that you have, maybe it's time to pick a different theme for sure.
Yep.
But we could always spend more money on immersion, like always.
Yeah.
So for sure, there's been many, many times where even we were like, you know, we could do that, but foliage is very expensive.
Yes.
So we should.
I did. On this note, I will say I had a great conversation at PuzzolCon this year, and a guy named Phil. Shout out Phil. Who super insightful. He said that the best games are not the ones that make money, and I think he's right, because I think that you can spend an infinite amount of money and make it the best game in the world, but that is probably not the best decision as a business owner.
Yeah, ROI takes a lot longer there.
So finding the sweet spot is the task.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question. Are you using AI anywhere in your business? If so, where and how?
Yes. We use some.
We are using AI in the business some. I wouldn't say in any major way. It has not like completely upended any of our workflows, or we haven't replaced any people with it yet. I think that I'll speak for myself and my teams. Like it's just another tool, like using the internet or using the Adobe Creative Suite. Like if you need some code double checked, or you need to workshop a name of something, or if you need some image or video assets generated, like I think that it's becoming like a good place to use for tools like that. But for us, it's more of augmenting our team's capabilities than it is replacing them.
Yeah, I used it several times this year when things that needed different skills than mine came up, and our like graphic design team was very booked up essentially with all the things, and so I was able to use ChatGPT to help me with the lookbooks and design and to try and make decisions for Game Night Lounge. So I used it a whole lot, and I would literally say, okay, here's this paint color that I have, here's a picture of the space, I want this exact desk that we've designed, we want this floor, we want this color up here, and it could spit out images just to make sure that as a project manager I was taking us in the right direction, because it's a lot to do without being able to visualize it. We can create full 3D rendering mock-ups in SketchUp and put skins on it and do all of these things, and we've done that in the past, but we got too far in the project to where all of the people who can do that were tied up into game creation. And so it was a really cool way for me to be able to like not pester them, but still get at least somewhat of an idea. Even just like, do we want to paint the door frames black or gray or teal or orange, and helping us make those quick decisions there. And then I use it to run through. So I'll create job descriptions and I'll create different things, and then I'll run it through there just to help me tidy them up. I mean, it's a really quick way to do that. But yeah, we're trying, I think, to put it to use more and more. But I've kind of used it as a okay, how can we like save a little bit of time because our team stays really busy.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Next
question. You showed us your 2 keys, 1 lock plan that included phases 0 through 3 for Puzzle Creative. What is phase 4? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I won't believe you if you say you don't have one. Winky face. So
that one got flirty.
Yeah, it did, kind of did.
It's not even anonymous.
So shout out, Will. I would say, yeah, there is another one. And it was originally included in the slide deck for my presentation, and I just felt like it got too lengthy and too boring, so I cut it out. But yeah, so the next phase, I think, is about succession planning. It's about moving to a point where we are able to keep our strategic hats on more instead of having to get down in execution of like day-to-day helping build new rooms, day-to-day solving location problems. And we're getting close to that, but we are not there yet. So I think that's probably what it has to do. It probably has to do with talent acquisition and setting up the organization in a way where it's a lot more self-sufficient, even where it doesn't need us as much. Which makes sense why the phase before that I did mention in the presentation has to do with your creative company, your production company, if you will, becoming a household name in your community. And I said that that's important so that you can become a good employer and attract more talent that way. And I think that then leads into the succession part of it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. IAPA or Transworld?
We've been to both.
We have been to both. Probably will go to both again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an either or. I think there's room for all sorts of different venues and conferences, and we've met people at both places who we have great relationships with, and so I don't view it as an either or.
Yeah.
So when we walked in, we've been to IAPA once. The trade floor is just wow at first, and it is massive. But then you have to kind of think about, okay, well, a huge chunk of this is food vendors, and at Game Night Lounge we have food, so that was awesome for us. But at your escape room you probably don't. So then there's a huge section of bouncy houses.
Yeah.
We unfortunately
don't have bouncy houses.
We kind of wish we
They
did.
had a whole like bouncy basketball floor.
Yeah.
Where you could just like play basketball, but like on a
inflatable.
Not a full-on trampoline, but more than an inflatable. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun on the trade floor looking at different types of immersive, just materials, magnets. There's a whole booth about magnets. That was really fun. We were like, oh, these are exactly what we could use.
I think it's great for research of like inputs, raw materials for your projects.
Yeah, we stayed there. We stayed on the floor for one day. Now we didn't get to go to any of the seminars, and to be honest with you, I was a little overwhelmed by all of the choices. So I'm sure there's amazing content and great stuff, and we'll go next time.
Yep.
Transworld we've been many times, and I do think like we didn't organically run into any escape room owners at IAPA. We knew people that were going to be there.
Yeah.
So we said hello. At Transworld, definitely there's different seminars and things where you can meet them, and there's at IAPA there was not a huge Christmas world. I don't think. I'm just now realizing that. But at Transworld,
if there was, I don't remember.
Yeah. So I would say there's probably a few more escape room specific things at IAPA, but maybe it's even. I don't really even know. So bottom line, like he said, we think if you can go to all of them, or alternate years if you can only do one per year or something. But inspiration comes from all over. And I will say, IAPA in Orlando, there's some stellar escape rooms right around there that we would recommend you go play.
Yep.
So it's a great trip. And then in St. Louis, also stellar escape rooms you can go play around there too.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Boom.
Yay.
Next question. Europe has incredible immersive experiences like War of the Worlds and Shrek. Any thoughts on how similar experiences could benefit U.S. escape room businesses? We have not been to visit these yet. We hope to in the future, and after we do, we will be happy to tell you what we think.
I'll be honest, they had me at Shrek.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to hear.
We'll check it out and get back to you.
Well, you know.
All right, next question. When Mallory said a location manager only lasts 2 years, what would you suggest if your manager is on burnout, but you don't have a place to put them?
Yeah, this is really tough, and I only know that because we've seen it happen multiple times now, and I start to realize, oh, there's a pattern here, and I've got to do better at helping these people understand what their next step is, and just that development plan becoming more formalized there. But in the beginning, we didn't have an additional place for them to go, and I've just actually articulated that to all of our location managers this year. Like, they've just now been told, like, hey, just so you know, the location manager position is a 2-year position at the minimum. And hopefully by that point, we will have grown. I will see your particular set of skills and be able to kind of create this path for you. But it's a really hard job. It's one that requires really great self-management and time management, because you can get, I mean, you guys know this, you can get sucked into what's happening every day and become so like reactive that you can't do any of the proactive things that we as owners want our location managers to do. And so it's a tough role that we've grown in how we support it over the years. So if you're there, because we've been there before, you've got to have a serious conversation, and there's got to be a little bit of a give and take. One, you need to have a meeting with them, and you need to say, hey, I am getting a sense of frustration. It feels like, for me, I can tell that people are getting burnt out when publicly they're very short with me. So like publicly I'll be like, hey guys, did we check on this? And they're like, well, I told you last week in this meeting that I'm not, like, it's almost disrespectful, because our team, when they're healthy, is not that way. They don't disrespect, they're very positive. And so you can kind of see that like bitterness has taken root. And that's when it's time to have a conversation. They're almost like paralyzed by the overwhelming amount of things to do. So then they're doing nothing. And you start to see that this is happening. We have a lot of checks and balances in place. So we have Monday reports, we have walkthroughs that happen every week. We have a lot of things that happen so that this doesn't happen organically, but still there's been seasons where it's like, we're just doing like the bare minimum. So you're going to have a conversation. You're going to say like, hey, I'm getting the sense that something's not right. Like you're not enjoying the work anymore. And one of our rules, one of our values is we got to have fun. People can tell if we're not having fun at work. And just have a serious conversation of how we can get from A to B. Because it's also hard to promote someone. Usually people who are burnt out are not getting their best foot forward. And that means that it's hard to take that level and promote them when they're kind of like spiraling downward right in the role. So we have done successfully a performance improvement plan with someone who was in that role. That's a big, serious HR term, but it gives you exact things. Like in these next 90 days, we need to see this, and this is make or break time. Like this is, you're either going to keep the role and flourish, or if these things don't happen in 90 days, that we're going to like respectfully walk away from each other. And you have to be willing to actually do that. If it's just burnout, like they're actually crushing the role and it's just burnout, then what we realized we needed to do to protect our team is to give them one day during the week off. And now this stinks for us. We would rather than be on, because then we have to remember, oh yeah, we're like at, so-and-so, there's emails in the inbox, and then we're like, oh yeah, they're off today. Yeah. But so all of our location managers have a day off. It's either Wednesday or Thursday. We used to do it at the beginning of the week, and too much stuff is going on. So we now realized that Wednesday or Thursday is kind of when they finish their checks. The chaos from the weekend has died down. They've got the week ahead really planned out. Staffing is secure. Everything is good. And so then it's right before we do Friday checks, getting ready for the weekend. And so that Thursday day actually is really good in our escape room world. And we say, okay, we're what we did in the performance improvement plan is then every 30 days you have a meeting, you have a checkpoint, you're staying very proactive with them, and you're giving feedback the whole way, and you're saying, okay, now that we've gotten the job responsibilities back on track, let's talk about how we can keep you from being burnt out. Like, what do you need from me in terms of support? And what do you need, do you need a Thursday day off? Because ours are salaried positions, except for in Florence, and that's an hourly position. And so they're kind of always slacking, always on. And I need to give them a day where they're completely like, I can turn slack off. You guys got it. And so we've learned that actually helps the longevity even more. But just letting them know that like, this is the time frame. And if you don't have any place for them to go, then maybe you have more responsibilities that you can give them. And I know that sounds backwards, but sometimes it's just like they feel like it's become a little mundane, and like I'm in this vicious cycle. I train staff leaves, customers come, customers break things, and it can just become this kind of like nothing is new and nothing is exciting, because all of the new and exciting things I've seen 100 times now. So maybe bringing them into the writing process, casting a vision for where you want your company to go. Hey, we're going to build a new Christmas room, and if you're training leaders up under you, I might could pull you to help me build that, if they're excited about that. Or if they're excited about marketing, letting them lean into that marketing a little bit more and creating kind of an extra skill set for themselves. Sometimes people don't want more pay or even just a change in title. They just want like a fresh day-to-day, switch it up. And then take some time to do something really fun. So to prevent the burnout, even if it's just you and your location manager, go for a girl spa day, go out to eat sushi, pulling things that have happened with our team. Go for a road trip on a day and just do escape rooms. Like, make it fun and connect them to the why. Like, why is this job fun? Why is it important that we do what we do? And then help me understand the parts of the job that you love, the parts that are weighing you down, and let's work together to create something that's going to sustain you, but understanding that you do need to be fulfilling your job responsibilities even when it feels mundane. And hopefully that conversation will lead to a really good outcome for you. It has for us several times.
Very good. Okay, next question is, what is your churn percentage for Amuse versus GNL versus escape rooms? And I'm assuming that this question is asking about churn in the sense of repeat players and what percent of customers don't come back in a 12-month period or something along those lines. I would just say that it's too early for us to know on GNL. We don't have the stats yet since it just launched in July. And I think I would say that Amuse has a higher repeat player turn. They come probably more often in a year than they go to the escape rooms. And that's probably, I would guess, because of two things. One, a lot of kids just really get on their parents a lot about coming to Amuse. And so just kids love to play more than adults. That's just sort of, everybody knows that. Shouldn't be the case, but we're on a mission to fix that. But I think kids probably play more, and so they're pestering their parents about coming to Amuse more. And then just the consumable nature of escape rooms means that people have fewer escape rooms that they have available to do. Like, a lot of our customer base has already gone through a lot of the 12 games that we have available here. Not all of them, but I think that probably slows it down a little bit.
I also think that if you're at an escape room, right, you don't necessarily see the one that you're missing, if that makes sense. So, like, if you book Shipwreck Cove, you don't necessarily see what you've missed in the Jurassic Project. Versus if you're at Amuse, right,
Yep.
and you are playing one game, you see all the other games that are available. And so when your time runs out, or you have to go eat or leave, whatever, you're like, oh man, we didn't get a chance to hit that whole back corner. So you're very much aware of what you've missed, so you're more likely to come back to experience those things.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a great point.
Okay, next question. How can you lead most effectively as a remote or offsite owner? What do you think about this one, like with our Florence location?
Yeah, you have to be very present, like, online. So we talked about this so much that Stephen, was like, the one thing that we want you to do is start Slack, like an internal communication channel. So we have the same checks and balances. We have, they send in a Monday report. We are talking via Slack about maintenance issues, training initiatives. We're the same support level as we are to our Memphis locations, which this is a question I think later on. We're not on site at those locations every day either at this point. And so we have to make sure that we're really supportive. We do send down our maintenance manager once a month, and then we try to visit for the quarterly, we don't try, visit for quarterly awards. So some people from lead team will go down every time that they have quarterly awards. We're hanging out, we're doing training. We're only 2 hours away from that specific one, but I think overall you have to be very present, and you have to still work even harder to make sure that they understand that you care about them, and that you're, I heard some people be like, oh, we go once a week to our remote location. We can't do that, but also they don't need that. Our location doesn't need that. They hit their goals. It's always the cleanest location when we come. So who you put in charge there has to be the main characteristic that they have to have is integrity. We can teach them anything else, but as long as they're honest with us and they're making sure that, when we tell them this is how we want things to run, this is our cash policy, which we have a whole big cash policy so that none of that, falls through the cracks and everything is above board, that we can trust that they are honest. And that's hard. That for sure means that we're promoting someone from within. And we've done that now for the previous location coordinator was there for 2 years, graduated college. Now we have a new one who's been crushing it. And so integrity is the number one thing that we look for in remote employees in general, but especially remote management. And we just want to make sure that they're on the same page with us. And that's gone really well for us so far. There's been seasons where they've felt like, oh, we're building a Muse, or we're building Game Night Lounge, so they can't respond as much. But once we've kind of put Maddie in place as our game operations director, she was able to, even in those seasons of GNL, stay very much supportive with them. Yeah. And so they didn't even feel that really, I would say. Be very present even if it's online. Even just being like, great job. We try to do that when they're like, hey guys, we just got to walk in. We're really quick to be like, that's great. Thumbs up so that they know we're watching.
It's like we saw, was this last weekend or 2 weekends ago? They got 2 walk-ins in a row in the final round, which was awesome. So we're like, oh, shout out you guys for doing that. And then today we heard through Kinsey that during our mystery gift card giveaway promotion that we were doing in September, this one person booked someone for all 4 rooms, the father-daughter duo. They booked all 4 rooms. And then they were excited about coming to Memphis, so now they're coming to Memphis to play all 12 of our games here and potentially even go to Amuse and GNL. So we're like, hey, shout out to this person who booked. It was Josh. I'll say his
Yeah,
name.
let's
Shout
go
out to
Josh.
Josh for booking this father-daughter in all 4 rooms because now they're headed to Memphis. So trying to be very vocal with praise.
Okay, next question. Do your rooms with stairs and puzzles that require getting on the floor cause issues as far as impacting people who are differently abled? I would say that we do our very best in those situations to have an alternate route. So we, in our staff, trust, we make sure that they're very attentive to those moments. If you have somebody that's in a wheelchair or something like that, to go, okay, now's the time I got to go in and help this person take the alternate route, usually like out into the hallway and into the next room through a doorway or something like that. That's typically the way we handle that situation.
And just be cognizant, like you'll miss the transition, but not any of the gameplay, right? So like in Jurassic Project, there are things that happen upstairs and downstairs, right? So we want to make sure, one, that there's plenty of things going on downstairs if you can't access the upstairs portion of it. So you're not missing out on any of the gameplay necessarily, just those transitions from room to room. And we try to make sure that, like Steven said, if there's something where it would require you to crawl or to do stairs or whatever, we have back entrances to where we can get you into that next room so you don't really miss any part of it.
Yep. Okay, next question we have is, what is one thing all escape room companies cannot live without? What do you think?
Only one thing? Or just one, like, can we say one thing?
Yeah, just what's one
I
thing?
guess we do whatever we want, yeah. I will say, here's what I'll say creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
Okay,
Don't even
very
need to
good.
explain.
Yep.
My gut, if I was to say exactly what came to my head right away, it was tall ceilings. But we have some escape rooms that don't have tall ceilings and we're okay, but man,
It helps.
ceiling height is
Yeah.
really, really crucial for the adventure rooms that we want to make. I'll say that.
Yeah.
We could do a lot more with tall ceilings.
I'll say puzzles.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you get too far away from, I know it's funny, but if you get too far away from actually solving things and it being an intellectual based game, then it becomes something other than an escape room, I think. So I think that that's sort of part of the definition. So
I want to say another thing.
Okay.
I think something that's overlooked that I think should not be overlooked is customer service. I think that
Yep.
a lot of times it's like we only care about what's inside of the rooms, and that has to be great for sure. But it can be totally ruined if the person doesn't greet you at the door. You have to go look and knock on doors and be like, hello, did we finish? You could have an epic escape room, and this has happened to us so many times.
Yeah.
But then the staffing side of it falls flat, and then we don't think that the room was that good anymore. Like, you just can't you can't separate out the customer experience from the actual room experience. And so you got to make sure that you really focus on the whole experience that the customer has while with you, even before the room and after the room.
Very good. Okay, for our next question we have, what does a typical day look like for you? How has it changed from when you started?
So we, Steve and I are married, so we often ride together. We come to headquarters typically most days, unless we're in a build season. So we could go all over. Like when we were building Game Night Lounge, we would show up there. Typically we start at 9 o'clock. That's when we have dropped off the kids where they need to be. And then we are some days in a lot of meetings. Today, there's been a lot of meetings. Typically meeting with our team, going over prototypes. Then we will jump into a writing session, whether it's for a new game for Game Night Lounge or a new thing entirely, or new escape rooms. We've got a lot of things that need fresh content all the time. So we're doing a lot of writing. The last 2 weeks we've been doing a lot of writing. Might jump into a Zoom meeting with people that we consult with, or shout out Lady Boss Collective, a mastermind group would be in that. I'm meeting with different staff, having staffing conversations. I'm having one here in just a little bit about people taking their next steps, organizing our next events as a company. I'm usually doing a lot of that, and then doing project planning. And then we will leave here. I'm just gonna give you the whole day. So typically we forget that it's lunchtime and eat lunch late. And then, doing a lot more meetings. Then we leave, go pick up our kids. We try to really focus in with them for about 2 to 3 hours. So by the time we get home, it might be 6 o'clock. So about 6 to 7:30 really, because we have a 2-year-old that we put to bed at 7:30. We're doing homework, we're doing dinner. And then after that, we actually, both of us work more. So Stephen will come back to HQ most nights when the kids are asleep, and then I work at home. Essentially, I feel like I have to make sure that all of the projects that we have, people know when they wake up where they're supposed to be going the next day, and kind of checking in on things that I didn't get updates on. Like, hey, what did we decide on this? Any unanswered questions that are in Slack. So most of the time I'll work from probably about 9 to 11. In some seasons it's till like 1 a.m. or 2. But right now it's about till 11. And then wake up and do it again. And the thing is, because we're not morning people, we have some people on staff that I just want to make sure they know what they're doing, because they'll be here at like 8 a.m. an hour before we even walk through the door, and I need to make sure that they can move forward and they're not just like waiting on us. So that's my typical day. I would say I'm not on site really much at all. I'm more here.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say the overarching thing is we are rarely on locations, on like never running rooms. We're almost always at headquarters 9 to 5, but what we're doing in that time period is all very different day to day, season to season. In a production team meeting that I had this morning, one thing that I reminded them of is in our company culture, our managers are not just managing. Our managers are also doers, which means, and I was encouraging them, that what that means is that everybody on the team has to be have the ability to sort of organize themselves, organize their day, be self-initiating, and not just have their manager looking over their shoulder all the time, because the manager is also probably busy doing something. So that's some people wake up early and they're able to get a lot of their work done at that point in time. I stay up late so that I can get work done where people are not bothering me. So during the day, 9 to 5, there's so much going on that's mostly like reacting or being a part of other things that agenda that has been set for me, being a part of meetings and stuff like that. So I find at night, after everybody else is asleep, I can actually deep dive and get some work done on solving problems or advancing some new idea. So that's typically what it looks like for me. Compare that to early on. What do you think? How yours is now versus what it was early on?
Oh, it's radically different. I mean, early on, I was on location all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I pop into locations probably a little more frequently, but still not a ton. But I mean, it's radically different. Now it's all about, you know, creation or executing things that we've already got in place, getting ready for the next thing, the next room, the next game, the next email, you know, things like that.
Yeah,
it's very different.
Very good.
You're there doing marketing a lot. But also we do pop in, like last week I was just thinking, I guess I was at 2 different locations, more of like a check-in and making sure that they're supported. If we need to make decisions about that certain location or about the space, different things like that. Then on the weekends, we're still really on Slack support. Technically, we have enough people in place to where we could put our phones down, but none of us really do. More and more I am a little bit, but we're if it waits too long for answers to come through or something, we're quick to jump in. Yeah.
We had a customer chat the other day that I won't name any names. Someone was responding too slowly, so I just hijacked it.
Yep, that comes through on our Slack, so we can all see them and we do that as quickly as we can. It's a little bit of a race, right? But definitely in the beginning, all 3 of us we didn't even have headquarters. We were on site, running rooms, and until this past Christmas in 2024 is the first December that we all didn't have to go back on site the entire month. So for the first 8-9 years, even as we basically
we're the
more,
seasonal staff, right?
In December, all of HQ was the seasonal staff, and I mean I ran Merry Movie Christmas a ton. That was like the one room that I got assigned to, I guess, because I don't have all the room knowledge still in my room. But last Christmas we did staffing a little differently. We had Cluby in effect, which we have a video about that, and we didn't have to work at any location. So we felt like that was a win because it allowed us to really focus on creating Game Night Lounge, which we were doing at the time. So that was great.
Next question. When did you all decide that it was time for a new location? What was your cash flow at the time, and what are other considerations? For me, I think the answer to this was we were out of space at the first location, so we were done building rooms there, and we were not ready to retire. So then what do we do with our time other than go get another location and start filling it up with some escape rooms?
Yeah, well, not just we were out of rooms, but still had a customer demand.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so
a
like
good point.
we were selling out on peak hours on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but still having people call about, do you have any rooms available, right? Or trying to walk in.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a pretty telltale sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if people like what you're making and you are out of capacity to make more of it, you probably should make more of it. Yeah. That's, I think, a good answer.
But then to Mallory's point, we had some fantastical ideas we wanted to pull off, right? And we couldn't pull them off in the location we were at. So let's find a place that has taller ceilings where we can do, more creative, more immersive things.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then the part of the question about cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer there is you need the first location to be self-sustaining, obviously. Yeah. If something is not profitable, you probably don't want to replicate that and do it again. So make sure your first location is cash flow positive, and then if you can sort of bootstrap the next location and pay for it out of your own pocket, I think that's the best way to do it. If you can't and you need to go get a loan for it, sure, I guess that's great. The bank will then decide if they feel like your cash flow is good or not.
I think that's a great point, though. A second location does not solve you not making profits from a first location?
No, I would view the first location as the prototype, the first product, the first iteration of what you're producing and giving to the public. And if they're not receiving it the right way, then I would look at getting better before you get bigger.
That's great. And then you did a great job talking at PuzzolCon about there is a ceiling to one location. So if you're not happy with the amount of profits that you're getting from one location, then that might be another way to look at time to get another location.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, next question. Describe your management team at each location. Do you have assistant managers and a manager?
Yeah, so I've kind of been playing around with our management organizational style, I guess, for a while to see what works, especially because Amuse and Game Night Lounge are completely different business models. So it's let us see, okay, this business model compared to this, these types of things can work out differently. And then we've kind of learned from each one and gone back and applied some of those things to the escape room model and said, how can we make this model and organizational structure look more like these things that are... We are taking a book out of Amuse. So Amuse started with just a location manager, didn't have an assistant location manager, and we thought, okay, we're going to hire a full-time maintenance manager. We did that for a while, and when we needed to take that maintenance manager to HQ because we're always growing here, so we actually created a whole new track where it's an operations specialist that handles maintenance operations of the games, some training aspects. They get promoted into assistant location manager. And so that's what's just happened at Amuse. So actually Amuse right now has a really strong leadership team, which is awesome. But they have a location manager, they have an assistant location manager, and then they have an operations specialist because we always want to have someone in the wings. So that development plan is literally like you can see it. And then we have maintenance specialists that are hourly that are on different shifts. And those three positions I mentioned earlier, those are salary at this point. So they really run every aspect of that location. We do help with marketing and we help with bigger projects and things. But other than that, they're just crushing that location and doing great. And then we took those things that we learned. And at Game Night Lounge, we just have a location manager, and then we have a hospitality director who is taking... We're still kind of growing in that position. It's part-time right now, but the idea would be that would be more of an assistant location manager type person who would handle the kitchen, because kitchen is a new thing for us. So we have a lot of different things. I really like to look around and see, if you were at PuzzolCon, you heard me talk about how hiring this position, someone to be over location that doesn't come from within the organization, has not worked out for us. Even with my best, intentions, creating massive interview panels and challenges, and we've done all kind of things. It just hasn't quite worked out near as well as someone growing from within and just looking around to seeing what skill sets there are and how we can utilize those and help them on their path of kind of self-discovery, but also what needs do we have that they can meet. And so, different years that has looked different for us, but right now that's how it checks out.
I think so. Maybe would you say that a good thing to do is try to create an assistant manager role as an opportunity to have a bench of people ready to move up into a full managerial position? Like, is that a good thing to do?
So I wouldn't start it at that because that's a big time role. I would definitely start it as an hourly operational specialist. That's what we've just done at Amuse. And then we've promoted that person into salary when the person that was in that role got promoted to assistant location manager. Does that make sense?
I got you. Yeah, but I guess if some other people at escape room locations, if they don't want to do the assistant manager as a salaried position, they could just do it as an hourly thing, as a way to create some sort of like a developmental track.
Absolutely, and you not only could do that, but you should, because we all have had these times where people that we don't expect leave us. They get other opportunities, even if we've been pouring into them for a long time. And so you always want to know who's next for this position, because if it's not someone on the team, then it's you, and you are already writing a new room and working on this, and you've got your year planned out. So you really need who's next that you're pouring into. And even if you can't, again, pay them this huge raise, you're giving them little responsibility incrementally that can get them ready for that role. So it can be an hourly position, absolutely. And I just think be careful with over promoting. Do it in smaller steps that help get them ready instead of a big jump. Because to be a manager, even assistant manager, that requires a character level that matches that level of responsibility. And a lot of times that character is kind of refined through series and trials of being in much smaller roles, and you getting to see how they interact with you during adversity, and you giving them feedback, and you having these critical conversations. It's good to see how they act in those things before you put them in any kind of managerial role.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to our continuation of Fireside Forum. If you want to be part of more conversations like this in the room, live in person with us, you can also check us out at PuzzolCon University, which PuzzolCon University are these intensive 4-day training events that we're doing. We're doing 2 each year. The first one will be in spring of 2026, and then another one in fall of 2026. They will be here at our headquarters. These are an opportunity for you as an escape room owner to actually send your staff or your managers that you're hoping to have trained up and to fill positions like general manager, production manager, or a room writer, or even a marketing manager. So we've got these all on the website. Registration for PuzzolCon University is also live on the website, so be sure to check that out. And for more content like this, please like and subscribe.
Yay!